We'll get into our discussion today, which is third-party risk. How tenuous is a vendor management program?
It's difficult to peel back the layers and truly apply the business context to the relationship of that vendor, where the association is, and what risk is very specific to that third-party service provider.
From an organization side, I've seen people doing anything from not even paying attention to the vendors and letting everybody run whatever they want to run and bring in whoever they want.
Best position a security service provider could be in on day one to say, look, I'm doing all these things actively for my entire network and my entire company, not just what I'm selling you on the offshoot.
I think the things the vendors do is they need to understand what value they're adding to the company, and they need to understand truly kind of talking about risk and what vendor risk is.
You have to understand criteria and variables specific to each vendor consistently and identify that criteria using a risk rating or risk ranking. You know, it's going to be different from a vendor that is going to be transmitting social security numbers on your behalf to support operations than it is if it's simply an email address that belongs to a customer.
What I see from most companies is most companies sit there and look at third-party risk as a separate risk category in their organization, and they have a third-party risk, and this is our third-party risk and other things of that nature.
Actually, a pretty darn good question from Mitchell DeMazza. What stage of engagement with a third party do you begin the risk assessment? Or does it start at the very first conversation?
I think it starts at the first conversation with a caveat of ensuring that this is really a vendor that's going to satisfy what we need to have done. More from a project side, why are we bringing the vendor on, and what risks does that add to us?
I love this question from Megan Tudge that just came in. Have you considered sharing your vendor reviews with other companies so that the vendor can reduce duplication of effort to get accredited? Have you ever done that?
I have not. This is something that's near and dear to me. Even when we're performing an assessment, I typically do not share the results in the format that I keep it in internally with the vendor, but I have that open dialogue with the InfoSec officer of that vendor.
Oftentimes when you go in and assess a vendor, you're going to find their gaps and their holes, right? So you're going to know what their weaknesses are, which is obviously sets up a chance for them to have something manifest on them that they don't want. You're under NDA, so you really can't disclose that out. So there's a legal risk out there that says, no, I can't disclose this type of information out to anybody.
It's time to play the Department of Yes. Play musical chairs in the office to choose which vendor gets the deal. What good is going to come out of this?
What you'll get is you'll get the vendor that has the biggest motivation and the biggest need to become your vendor, because they're going to fight the hardest for that last chair.
I think playing music and running around with other people, it's a morale booster.
Vendor management. Always trust that they are safe and allow unmonitored access to your network.
What comes out of it is you tend to get a vendor that's probably the cheapest cost for you. You don't have a vendor management program, so you're actually reducing your cost, you're reducing your price. So it's not a bad idea if you think about it.
Let your child pick the vendor based on the prettiest logo.
It identifies what is going to be the most appealing to the customer base.
What is that logo saying about the company? What is that logo saying about their attention to details? What is that logo saying about how they fit it? If it's coming from my child, then I'll be interested in a vendor that has nice, colorful logo, which means they're probably pretty diverse.
This is a good question from David Legassi. What are some strategies you use to get better engagement from third parties that you really want to work with, but they don't have the most mature security program?
There is no negotiation, but you partner with them and ask them, are they willing to fix these things? Show me that you're willing to fix these things. Is there wiggle room, or does that have to be fixed on day one?
You also have to take a look at your internal controls and say, well, if they've got a poor risk, what can my internal controls, how can I catch that? How can I manage those internally in my own organization to do that?
Now, Cody asked a question that I didn't know this was even a question to ask, but I'm going to throw it out. What percentage of vendors lie when filling out the SIG? And he goes 90% or higher. Gerard, you're laughing. Is lying the norm?
I don't know if lying's the norm. I wouldn't say they lie, but excluding lying.
So excluding.
Yes, happens all the time, right? I mean, oh yeah, so you ask, do you have an access control policy? Yeah, we do. great. Here's my access control policy. How well is it implemented? How well do I have it? Did I just write it yesterday because you asked for it the day before?
I think what's happening is the SIG is so extensive and exhaustive that no matter what you're getting from that vendor, they're just copying. Oh, I filled this out because somebody asked me for it before.
I think that what you have to do is you not only have to take a look at what risks are inside that third-party organization, I think you have to take a look at what risk that third party does to your overall risk profile. And not just from a vendor risk look, but from how do they affect my risk of breach? How do they affect my risk of access control? How do they affect my risk of whatever else is in my organization?
If your program looks more like a one-size-fits-all and less than a custom-fitting tailored suit, it's unsustainable. Make sure that you're setting your criteria, you know your control requirements based upon the relationship itself and the business context of the service that's being provided.
Thank you, everybody.